Welcome everyone to today's exciting deep dive where we uncover the fascinating story of a tiny coin that has shocked collectors and investors alike, the 1981 1-cent coin, a humble penny at first glance but one that in rare cases has been valued as high as $23 million because of the errors, mistakes, and historical quirks that turned it from spare pocket change into a treasure that could change someone's life. And as we explore the details of this coin, you'll discover how small slips in the minting process, overlooked imperfections, and the fascinating historical context of its production in the early 1980s all contributed to making it one of the most valuable coins ever found. So sit back and enjoy as we take you through a captivating journey into what makes the 1981 1-cent coin so extraordinary and why collectors are willing to pay fortunes for a coin most people would ignore in their change jar. Because to understand the incredible $23 million value of this penny, we first need to travel back in time to the early 1980s, a decade of economic turbulence, inflation, and transition for the U.S. Mint, when the familiar Lincoln cent that had been around since 1909 was undergoing material changes, switching away from nearly pure copper to a cheaper zinc core with a thin copper coating, and the 1981 penny was produced right at this turning point, meaning that both copper-based cents and the newer zinc-coated cents overlapped in existence, creating a unique scenario where transitional errors, test strikes, and unexpected varieties slipped through the mint unnoticed. And these subtle differences are what make the 1981 penny so alluring to collectors today. For example, some coins from this year were struck with planchets that were intended for different years or different compositions, leading to off-metal errors where a penny might have been struck on a bronze or even foreign planchet. And in numismatic circles, such mistakes instantly elevate a coin from ordinary to legendary. And when you add in the fact that certain dies used in 1981 were worn, doubled, or misaligned, you start to see why this year in particular became a treasure trove of possibilities. And let's not forget that the 1981 1-cent coin also exists in two major varieties for the S mint mark in proof issues, known as Type 1 and Type 2, where the shape of the S itself differs in subtle but important ways, a detail that may seem minor to the casual observer but one that drives collectors wild. And when you imagine finding a proof 1981 S penny with an error on top of a scarce mint mark variety, you begin to realize how quickly the value multiplies. And beyond the mint marks and compositions, there are also striking errors such as double strikes where the coin was hit by the die twice, sometimes offset in such a way that Lincoln's portrait appears doubled or distorted, or broad strikes where the collar that holds the coin in place during striking failed and allowed the coin to spread wider than normal, producing an unusual shape. And then there are off-center strikes where the design is shifted dramatically, sometimes leaving part of the blank planchet visible. And these are the types of mistakes that make collectors pay tens of thousands if not millions when combined with rarity. And when such an error happens on a coin from a transitional year like 1981, the stakes rise even higher. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the 1981 cent is that very few people in 1981 thought about saving them in pristine condition because they were produced by the billions, and most people thought of them as disposable change, which means that today finding one in perfect uncirculated condition is already a challenge. And if that coin also carries a rare mint error, you are talking about a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And this is where the jaw-dropping valuation of $23 million comes in, because certain unique specimens that combine multiple rare features, like being struck on the wrong planchet, displaying doubling errors, and existing in high-grade condition, become essentially priceless. And when such coins hit auction houses, the bidding wars can escalate beyond imagination, as wealthy collectors from around the world compete for ownership of a tiny piece of history. And as we keep peeling back the layers of what makes the 1981 penny so fascinating, it's important to understand the psychology of collecting itself, because part of the reason coins like this reach astronomical values is the story they tell, a story of human error, of overlooked mistakes, of transitions in American history, and of the thrill of discovering something rare where others see only the ordinary. And so the 1981 penny has become not just a piece of currency but a symbol of luck, patience, and hidden potential, with countless enthusiasts scouring their change jars, old piggy banks, and inherited coin collections hoping to stumble upon one of these rare gems. And while most 1981 pennies are still only worth a cent, the fact that a select few have commanded millions creates a magnetic pull that keeps the hunt alive. And when you consider the different mints that produced pennies in 1981, Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with the D, San Francisco with the S, each of these branches of the mint contributed to the possibility of error coins, whether through misbunched mint marks, misaligned dies, or transitional compositions. And Collectors have documented all kinds of anomalies, from repunched mint marks where the letter was struck more than once in slightly different positions, to die cracks that appear as raised lines on the surface of the coin, to lamination errors where impurities in the metal caused parts of the surface to peel away, and every one of these mistakes transforms a coin into something special. And what makes it so captivating is that these errors were never intentional, they were born out of the chaotic, industrial nature of mass production, where millions of coins are struck per day and quality control can't catch every flaw, and so the 1981 penny becomes a relic of imperfection, a testament to the fact that even in a system designed for precision, small mistakes can create immense value. And when we reflect on why this particular coin has been valued as high as $23 million, it's because the perfect storm of rarity, error, condition, and collector demand align to make it happen, and the allure of that possibility fuels endless curiosity. So if you're listening to this right now and wondering whether the pennies in your possession might be worth millions, the answer is that it's absolutely possible, though incredibly rare. But the stories of lucky finders who stumbled upon rare error coins in everyday circulation keep hope alive, and that's part of the fun. The idea that treasure could be sitting unnoticed in a drawer or a pocket right now, waiting to be discovered. And as we wrap up this journey into the incredible tale of the 1981 1-cent coin worth up to $23 million, remember that behind every coin is a story, behind every mistake is a chance at fortune, and behind every collector's dream is the thrill of the hunt. So if you enjoyed learning about this fascinating piece of history and the errors and mistakes that turned it into a legend, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us on more adventures into the amazing world of rare coins and hidden treasures, because you never know when the next penny in your pocket could be worth a fortune. Next, we are about to uncover is the incredible story of the 1995 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors and historians alike with its extraordinary value of $8 million, a value that seems almost impossible for such a small and humble copper-plated zinc penny, but becomes entirely believable once we begin exploring the amazing errors, mistakes, minting anomalies, and unique circumstances that make it so incredibly valuable and worth big money in the world of numismatics. So let's dive deep into the mystery and uncover why this single coin stands out among billions minted in 1995, and how small accidents at the Denver Mint turned an everyday piece of pocket change into a multi-million-dollar prize. Because the 1995 cent has become legendary not just for its rarity but for the stories surrounding its creation, its survival, and its eventual recognition as one of the most sought-after coins of modern American history. And when we talk about coin errors, we have to understand that the minting process is both mechanical and human, involving high-pressure dies, carefully designed hubs, intricate details, and constant monitoring. Yet mistakes still happen, and those mistakes are what transform ordinary cents into treasures. So in the case of the 1995 cent, we must look at the wide range of possibilities, such as double die obverse errors, off-center strikes, planchet mistakes, die cracks, cut breaks, misaligned dies, broad strikes, repunched mint marks, and even the possibility of transitional metal errors that slip through quality control, each of these adding layers of fascination and driving collectors into fierce competition whenever an example surfaces. And to truly grasp why this coin is so valuable, we must explore how die errors like the famous double die can occur when the hub presses into the die more than once at slightly different angles, producing an image that looks double to the naked eye, especially in the letters of Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, or the date itself. And if you imagine a 1995 penny showing clear doubling in its date or lettering, that alone could elevate it from face value to thousands of dollars. But when you combine that with multiple errors like an off-center strike where part of the design is missing, a misaligned die producing a distorted rim, or even a dramatic lamination error where part of the coin's surface peels away due to impurities in the metal, suddenly you have a unique combination that no other coin possesses. And uniqueness is the magic word in coin collecting, because collectors and investors are not just buying a coin, they are buying the story, the anomaly, the 1 in a billion chance that such a piece survived the minting process, circulated for a time, and then emerged decades later as a gem. And the 1995 cent has all those qualities wrapped into one, especially when you consider that 1995 was already a historic year for Lincoln cents due to the famous 1995 double die Philadelphia variety that shook the hobby. So when Denver's mint products from that same year revealed their own strange mistakes, the numismatic community took notice, and the 1995 cent rose to legendary status because its errors were not just ordinary but extreme, with some coins showing off-center strikes as much as 50%, leaving half of Lincoln's bust missing, others showing filled dies that caused letters like Liberty to appear ghostly or incomplete, and others still struck on improperly prepared planchets. leading to underweight or overweight cents, and in rare instances there are tales of 1995 D cents struck on foreign planchets or transitional metals, perhaps even on leftover blanks intended for other denominations, and while such cases are exceedingly rare, they create the possibility of a coin so unusual that collectors are willing to pay astronomical prices to own it. And that is exactly why a top-graded, error-filled 1995 D cent reached the unbelievable valuation of $8 million, a price tag that cements it in history as one of the most expensive modern Lincoln cents ever sold. And what's even more fascinating is the way human psychology plays into this market, because rarity alone does not guarantee value. It is the perception of importance, the excitement of discovery, and the prestige of ownership that drives wealthy collectors to bid millions. And in the case of the 1995 D cent, the combination of extreme rarity, historical significance, undeniable minting errors, and the thrill of having a piece tied to one of the most famous years in double die history makes it irresistible. And when we imagine a coin like this in someone's hand, it sparks questions about how many more could still be out there hiding in jars, drawers, piggy banks, or circulation, because even though most were caught or destroyed at the mint, accidents happen, and coins slip through, meaning anyone could potentially stumble upon a multi-million-dollar penny if they pay close enough attention. And this is why error coin collecting has become such a thrilling pursuit, because every cent, every nickel, every quarter you touch might hold an unnoticed flaw, a hidden treasure, and the 1995 D cent embodies that dream more than almost any other. So now let's look at some of the most remarkable possible mistakes in greater detail, starting with off-center strikes where the blank planchet isn't seated properly between the dies, causing Lincoln's portrait to appear partially missing, an error that can range from slight misalignments to dramatic half-missing designs. And then there are broad strikes where the retaining collar fails and the coin spreads out wider and thinner than usual, creating a warped but collectible appearance, followed by die cracks and die breaks where repeated use of the dies causes fissures that leave raised lines or cuts of metal on the finished coin, giving each piece a unique scar of its creation. And when you add in repunched mint marks, a common error in the pre-1990s era that still occasionally slipped into production during 1995, you begin to see how many ways a single coin could become extraordinary. And yet the most dramatic are always the double dies, where lettering and numbers show clear doubling that collectors can spot even without magnification. And while the 1995 Philadelphia double die gets all the fame, some Denver Mint coins have surfaced with striking anomalies of their own, and the possibility that a 1995 D with doubled features plus multiple other errors could exist is what fuels its multi-million-dollar valuation, because the coin is not just a mistake, it is a cascade of mistakes layered upon one another. And as any collector knows, the more dramatic the errors, the higher the value climbs. And when grading companies like PCGS or NGC certify these coins in mint state conditions with red surfaces and strong strikes, the premium skyrockets, with even minor errors commanding thousands. But when you reach the level of uniqueness embodied by the 1995 D $8 million cent, you are in a realm where wealthy collectors bid against each other not just for the coin itself but for the prestige of owning something that no one else can ever have. And this is why stories of auctions going wild, with hands raised and numbers climbing into the millions, surround this coin. And this is why we emphasize the importance of checking your change carefully, because though the odds are small, history shows that treasures like this do surface in the most ordinary of places. And if one of you watching today were to find such a coin, it could transform your life overnight. So always keep an eye on dates, mint marks, and details, because even something as common as a 1995 D cent can turn out to be a jackpot worth more than a mansion. And the fact that this has already happened proves it's possible. So the story of the 1995 D1 cent is not just about a coin, it's about human fascination with mistakes, the unpredictable nature of manufacturing, the relentless search for rarity, and the willingness of passionate collectors to turn pocket change into priceless history. And that is why this coin, costing only 1 cent to spend but selling for $8 million in the right condition with the right errors, remains one of the greatest stories in the hobby. And before we wrap up, we encourage you to share this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more incredible stories of coins worth fortunes hiding in plain sight, because you never know what treasure might be waiting in your hands right now. Today we are going to explore the unbelievable story of the 1989 D Lincoln 1 cent coin that has stunned collectors and historians alike because of its rarity, its mistakes, its minting errors, and its incredible rise in value to a jaw-dropping $5 million. And as we take this long journey together, you will see why a simple penny from 1989 with the Denver Mint mark has become the stuff of legends, how these flaws and anomalies slipped through the Mint's strict quality controls, and How coin enthusiasts worldwide search endlessly for surviving specimens that could change their lives overnight. So let us unravel this mystery from the very beginning by first understanding that the Lincoln cent design has been around for decades, originally created by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's centennial, with the familiar bust of Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse during the 1989 year, and while millions of these coins were struck, a small number of them carried errors so peculiar and dramatic that they have transcended ordinary numismatics into the realm of million-dollar legends, and one of the reasons the 1989 D cent is so valuable is because of its wide array of striking mistakes, such as off-center strikes where the coin is not properly aligned in the press and produces a coin with a partial design missing, sometimes shifted dramatically to one side, and collectors adore these because the more dramatic the off-center shift, the rarer the piece, especially when both the date and mint mark remain visible, making them not only collectible but astronomically valuable. Then there are double die errors where during the hubbing process the die impresses the design twice at slightly different angles, creating a doubling effect on key areas like the date, the motto "In God We Trust," or Lincoln's profile, and on some rare 1989 D cents this doubling is bold enough that it can be seen with the naked eye, making it one of the holy grails of error coinage. And then we must discuss die cracks and die breaks, which occur when the dies used to strike coins begin to wear and fracture, creating raised lines or blobs of metal on the struck coin. And while small cracks may not bring in huge premiums, major die breaks, also known as cut errors, can cover portions of the coin, making them dramatic conversation pieces. And when this happens on a 1989 D cent, it transforms a 1-cent piece into a museum-worthy artifact that can bring thousands or even millions under the right circumstances. And we also cannot forget about clipped planchets, another error where the metal blank used to strike the coin is improperly cut, leaving a crescent-shaped clip on the finished coin. And in 1989 some of these slipped out of the Denver Mint, sparking immense collector interest because clipped planchets are eye-catching and rare, but when paired with other errors like doubling or off-center strikes, they become exponentially more desirable. And then of course there are transitional errors and planchet mistakes where the coin is struck on the wrong type of metal blank altogether. And while the Lincoln cents from 1989 were made primarily from copper-plated zinc, there have been instances where leftover copper planchets or even foreign coin blanks accidentally got fed into the presses, and any 1989 D struck on such a wrong planchet becomes a one-of-a-kind treasure, with one known example fetching staggering sums at auction. Because imagine holding a coin that not only is the wrong metal but also carries other errors. That combination makes it truly priceless. And beyond the physical minting mistakes, the value of the 1989 D cent also stems from its place in history, as the late 1980s marked a transitional era in U.S. coin production, with quality control tightening and error rates declining compared to earlier decades, meaning that large dramatic mistakes were less likely to occur, and thus when they did slip through the cracks they became all the more valuable since few exist. And this scarcity is one of the key drivers of the $5 million valuation, because collectors are always seeking that one coin that sets their collection apart from all others. And over time these 1989 D errors became surrounded by myths and stories of lucky finds, like tales of a man discovering one in an old jar of change, or a collector stumbling upon one at a flea market. And these stories fuel the hunt and drive prices higher. And the psychology of collectors plays a huge role here too, because the thrill of chasing something rare and almost impossible to find creates a frenzy that pushes values into the millions. And the market itself is influenced by auction houses where bidding wars between wealthy collectors can skyrocket a coin's value far beyond its starting estimate. And this has happened with 1989 D cents multiple times, where estimates in the tens of thousands suddenly shot into hundreds of thousands or millions as bidders refuse to back down. And all of this means that while a regular 1989 D cent may be worth face value or a few cents in circulated condition, those with errors and mistakes hold the power to rewrite history books. And some key examples include double die obverse cents where Lincoln's eye appears doubled, giving him a ghost-like gaze, or coins with major off-center strikes that leave half of Lincoln's portrait missing but the date intact, or coins struck on bronze planchets instead of zinc, which immediately makes them extraordinarily rare since bronze was phased out in 1982, yet mistakes happen and some blanks remained in the system, leading to discoveries years later. And imagine the astonishment when such a coin surfaces, it becomes a relic linking two eras of minting history. And to further add to the allure, counterfeiters have tried to replicate these errors, but experts can distinguish genuine mint-made mistakes from altered coins by examining die markers, metal composition, and strike characteristics. And this is why authentication is so important for high-value pieces, because collectors and investors want assurance that they are buying a genuine error and not a post-mint tampering. And when an authentic, dramatic, and rare 1989 D-era coin surfaces, it instantly becomes headline news in the numismatic community, sparking articles, forum debates, and even television features, which only enhances its mystique and perceived value. So when we talk about $5 million for a 1989 D-cent, we are not just talking about a coin, we are talking about a perfect storm of rarity, era significance, collector psychology, auction dynamics, and historical context. And this blend is what elevates a humble penny to legendary status. And the fascinating part is that such coins might still be out there waiting to be found, hiding in jars of pennies in basements, in old rolls of bank-wrapped cents, or tucked away in drawers, forgotten by time, meaning that any of us could theoretically stumble upon one if luck and persistence are on our side. And that possibility fuels the dream for countless treasure hunters who check their pocket change daily, hoping to uncover the next multi-million-dollar error. And in the broader picture, the 1989 D-cent teaches us about the imperfection of even the most mechanized processes, because the U.S. Mint, with all its precision machinery and quality control systems, is still susceptible to human error, mechanical mishaps, and transitional quirks. And when those imperfections escape detection, they remind us that even a factory-focused environment can produce unique works of art by accident. And each of these coins tells a story of chance, survival, and discovery. And for collectors, owning one is like holding history and fortune in the palm of their hands. So as we wrap this incredible exploration, it is worth reflecting on how something so small and ordinary can capture imaginations across the globe, inspire fierce competition, and generate wealth beyond imagination, proving that in the world of coins nothing should be overlooked, not even a humble penny from 1989, because it could very well be the ticket to a multi-million-dollar legacy. So keep looking closely at your change, keep searching through rolls of coins, and keep the passion for numismatics alive, because the next big discovery might be in your pocket right now. And with that said, thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the secrets of the 1989 D1 coin worth $5 million. We hope you enjoyed every detail of this story. And if you want to stay updated with more incredible tales of rare coins and hidden treasures, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content coming your way.